Hi everyone, welcome to the NestJS course, and we are covering some benefits, some aspects about NestJS before we cover the demos. Okay, so the next topic is the API documentation. I mean, this is the feature which I think every backend developers like me should love, because we know the pain points of writing the API documentation earlier, like 3-4 years back. Now you don't need to worry much. NestJS has its own library, NestJS Swagger, and you can create API documentation easily by just providing some more meta information to your controllers. Okay, get put post, you will be just using API properties with the DTOs, so it will expose that in the Swagger documentation. So you just use these libraries, NestJS Swagger, Swagger UI Express. Okay, and then your Swagger, I mean, you just obviously you need to write this. You need to set up a Swagger document with your app instance. Document Swagger module dot create document, pass the app and this config object, and then Swagger module dot setup. So uh, this is the API route. Whenever your application start, at the end of /API, you should be able to read all the API documentation. Earlier, we used to write a swagger.yml manually, and then need to use the Swagger docs module and need to create something, right? It's not easy to manage the YML whenever you are changing the APIs every other day, right? So it's very easy. The only important thing is you need to take care of the decorators which you are adding at the controller or at the service, specifically at the controller. So this will be created under the users tag, this API bearer auth. So in the top you will see authorization. This is API property, means what is this operation about? This will add a Swagger documentation, Swagger docs. Okay, list of users, and these are the query parameters, true, false. All this information will be exposed through Swagger in all the APIs, like API operation, API OK response, API no content response, API created response. There are a lot of tags available which will help you to create a Swagger documentation. And just like in the DTO decorators, DTOs are nothing but a which defines your input payload, right? Create user DTO. When you are using this API property, this same property will be exposed in the Swagger, because this is Swagger decorator. API property, API response, API OK response, API not found response, API created response. At the controller level, at the DTO level, you define only these. They are cherry on top, because I mean, things will work just by defining this also. But if you are using API properties, that means your input payload will have these specific properties that will be exposed through Swagger, and the reader, the client developer or the UI developer will understand, okay, email should be this, name should be example this with min and maximum length. He will read it properly. Okay, and to enable the Swagger plugin, you just need to define this as a plugin, NestJS Swagger, and it will start working. For GraphQL, you already know there is a Graph IQL. There is a Swagger documentation. It's not a Swagger, but it's like a web portal. From there you can read the queries, mutations, and you can trigger them. Okay. So this is all about what is the role of this Swagger module. It's really very helpful and really very required to have it in each and every project for developers.